Takes a second. And we are live. Welcome, welcome to the final for Feck's Sake Marketing Adventures for 2021. I'm excited to be here and to have the privilege of hanging out with you guys, where we're going to share some tips, tricks, and insights. And as you know, I always bring some amazing, real, inspiring business builders and exceptional entrepreneurs who have overcome some hurdles in their business and have some gold to share with us. And as I always say, why reinvent the wheel? Let's share and learn from others. So if you're watching this on social media, make sure you give us a thumbs up or a like and put any questions you have in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and, of course, that little bell so that you can be alerted when we next go live or any other insights that we share with you. And today, for the last time, as I say, in 2021, we have the amazing Yvonne, I nearly said Yvette, Yvonne Dam, all the way from the Netherlands for today. Welcome, Yvonne.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Carmel.
I'm very excited. So it's morning for you and afternoon for me. Earlier today, I was talking to somebody in Canada where it was last night for them and it was this morning for me. What an amazing platform. So let me introduce you correctly, Yvonne. Yvonne is a performance coach for people who have too little time and crave to take their business to the next level. Through her programs, she helps you grow your business further while making it all feel like a breeze. Yes, please. Getting you to drastically reduce your working hours. So when she's not coaching, you can find her indulging on beach walks and a sparkling glass of champagne. Although I would guess in the Netherlands right now, beach walks might be a little bit harder. Would I be correct?
Yeah, it's quite rainy, but to be honest, I love it when it's not too warm on the beach. You know that, and luckily I like that. Otherwise, I would be in a lot of trouble here. You're right.
It's summertime here in Australia. So I know our title is about time management and the illusion of that, but give us a little bit of background on who Yvonne was and who Yvonne is now. How did she get to where she is now?
Yes. So I started my career as an international tax lawyer in one of the top 3 international audit firms around the world. And I learned a lot about how you need to be more efficient with your time, how every minute you think about a client really is time. So, but I also was very, very much pushed, every day I worked very long hours. And don't get me wrong, because I loved it, but I got burned out and very, very severely burned out. And now I would love to say that was the pivotal moment that everything changed for me. And in a way, of course, it changed a lot and I learned a lot, but I had many pivotal moments before I finally was able to say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm changing my life for good. And all in all, it took me 15 years to get to that point where I finally can say I am a recovering workaholic.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And I think you may be a few steps ahead of me, but that's okay. It's fascinating that the last sorry to interrupt you, the last 3 calls, this one is I talked about burnout. Then we talked about taking on the energy of your clients and protecting yourself, and now we're talking about time management. So they weren't scheduled in that way, but it's amazing they turned that way. So when you got that moment, what happened for you? What changed?
Well, it was really a decision. I found myself in my business because when, if you're listening and you have your own business, as soon as you start your business, you are chief everything, right? You're chief marketing, chief sales, chief doing whatever too much. And you want it all. So you give it a lot of everything. And I just thought, this isn't why I started my business. I started my business for more freedom, for more time for me, time with my family. And I just decided no more. And I took every time management lesson I ever learned. And even though I'm not a big fan of time management, it does make a difference when you start focusing, when you start saying no, when you start doing the things that you're really great at. And then things started to change. And now I've got Wednesdays off. I normally don't start before 10 a.m. I don't work weekends. And whenever I feel like I take a day off. So yes, I am. I'm happy.
That's awesome. And look, I know when you and I had our initial chat, when we talked about it, we talked about this. There are lots of courses on time management. You know, all you have to do is Google them, you'll find a million of them.
Yeah.
But we also talked about, and I've done a lot of lives around this, of like, can you actually really manage time? This illusion of trying to manage time. And to me, it's like, well, you can't put time into a wheelbarrow. You can't. Daylight savings is a prime example. It's like, oh, we're saving an hour. It's like, what are you going to do with that hour or 2 hours? You're going to put it in a bucket over there. And, you know, when you need a spare 8 hours, just take it out. You can't. It's not a tangible thing.
No, it's
so
not.
If we can't manage time, and we kind of take that off the table, what is it? Is it managing us within that time? How do you do that?
So basically, you're very right. Time is intangible. That's why I think so many people struggle with it, because before you know it, it's gone, right? And it sounds dramatic, but it's never coming back. But you know, what you can manage is your conception of time, how you look at time, how you perceive it. To give an example, many people, when you ask them, how are you doing, will tell you, oh, I'm so busy, right? It's almost like, oh, I'm busy, so I'm successful, isn't it?
Yes, it's the badge of, I call it the busy badge of honor.
Yeah. But the more you tell yourself, I'm busy, the more you tell yourself, I don't have time, guess what? You don't have time. You are busy. And if you look at your day and how often you tell yourself, oh my word, I have to do that, and you drive yourself nuts with everything that you tell yourself about not having time, that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
It's really us, like you say. Yeah,
it's almost debilitating, and I've experienced that. I've gone in and out of it, and sometimes I think I'm doing better than others. I used to have an illusion of how long it should take me to do something. I think I should do it in 5 minutes, and in reality it takes 2 hours, you know. And then beating yourself up because you can't get it done, and feeling like you're on the back foot all the time, which again goes into that kind of borderline mental health, burnout and all that. So they're all connected. So how do you, when you recognize that you're on that treadmill, as it were, from your experience, how do you start to change that? So give us some idea of how you, I'm going to use the term manage your time, but how you manage yourself within that time allocated, because we only have so many hours in the day, don't we?
We do, yes. So if you're really feeling overwhelmed, right, because that's often what happens.
Yes.
Especially let's see now, because the holiday season is here, but
that's
exactly if you're overwhelmed with everything you need to do, one thing that happens is you go like, oh my word, I need to do this work. Oh my word, I need to do that. And then it's like this snowball going off in your head, and you even drag things that are very unimportant into the picture.
Yes.
And it adds on. So if you're feeling right now like that, you're overwhelmed, what I really encourage you to do is to pause, okay? To pause, to take a couple of deep breaths, to really come back in the here and now, because what is happening is your mind is going to the future, is wandering off, is freaking out. So go back to the here and now, and it really helps if you almost like, okay, I'm on a chair, I can feel my chair, I can feel my feet. Yes, I'm here. Okay. So you break the spell of going, oh. You take a deep breath and you ask yourself, so what is the one thing I need to do right now? Okay. Now it's only a moment, so it's not going to fix the overwhelm on the long term. So overwhelm comes when you are doing too much. Okay. Now you can instantly go, yeah, but I need to do it all. Well, I can challenge you there. And if you need to do it all, do you need to do it all right now? So if there is too much, there are 3 ways of dealing with it. Okay.
Yeah.
The first question is, do I really need to do this, or can I stop? And I know this is a daunting question because everybody goes like, no, I can't stop. But what I like to ask you then, and this is a mind twister, but if you know what you know now, would you still start that activity? Because all too often we embark on something, we think it's great. Along the way, we don't like it that much anymore, but we just keep going because we
Yeah.
whatever. So ask yourself, would I still start and still do the same thing? Very likely you wouldn't. So then it's a great way, stop doing it. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
first. We really want you to cut back on the things you're doing. Now, the second thing you can ask yourself, and again, for business owners, this is a pivotal one, and I think actually for everyone, are you the one that needs to do it? And be honest here, because very likely it's not you. You can
Yeah.
either delegate, you can outsource, you can automate. So really ask yourself, are you the one that needs to do it? Now,
Yeah.
so you stopped some things, you delegated some things. And then the last one, if you're still like, no, this is me, I want to do this, so then ask yourself, how can I make it more easy? How can I make
Yes.
it more fun? Because it's about the one thing we humans are great at is overcomplicating.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be done. Ask yourself, can I do it in any other way that it's going to cost me less time, that it's going to make it more enjoyable so that I can do it with ease?
Yeah.
And then, when you apply those three, you either stop, you give it to someone else, or you make it fun and easy. Then you've covered a whole lot of tracks and you gain a lot of time.
And look, you're exactly right, because I quite often say stop and breathe. I have a three breath exercise I do that has saved me a lot of times. And I love to make it fun and easy. As you can see, I'm writing them down there to make sure I remember them. One of the things that I've noticed with some of my clients and some members that we have in our membership is they understand this on an intellectual level. They've
Yes.
heard this, they've heard versions of it, but they feel like they're on that steam train. They're like a steam train. They're going, how do I draw back, because I've let it go that I have so many things. And a huge learning for me was when we had my mom and my dad and different times and things like that were ill, or we had to drop everything and leave, was how unimportant some things became when there was an urgency. So similar to you, I kind of go, does this need to be done? But I ask myself, if there was an emergency right now, what would be what would be the things that I could drop?
Yes,
And most of them, it's kind of nearly everything.
I
And
know.
say, well, okay, if I drop them all, what's one thing that I would pick up first that would need to be done?
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. But if somebody hasn't got to that stage or experienced that, how do they really, really snap themselves out of that overwhelm just in that moment, that steam train overwhelm in your experience?
Okay, so I'm gonna be brutally honest.
Oh, please be.
It's quite hard if you are not experiencing, like you said, an emergency or something that snaps you away. It's quite hard when you didn't hit rock bottom yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
And rock bottom can be that you're so overwhelmed. What happened to me is I woke up on a Monday morning dreading Monday. And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I didn't start my business to not look forward to Monday. So I knew I had it to change, and that was my
Yeah.
internal driver. So if you do not have an internal driver, it's very hard to do it on your own.
Yeah.
If you then want to change, I just highly recommend you find someone to hold you accountable, to help you do it. Because, and I'm not saying this because, but you're listening and you most likely go like, yeah, I've tried it over and over again. It never works. It never
Yeah.
works. Good for you because you didn't hit rock bottom yet. Okay.
Mm.
So But rock bottom is not the place where you want to go, because you get
No.
you get really burned out or whatever. So if you feel like you're heading there and you can't make the change, go get help.
Yeah.
And you know, as much as I love to help people because I'm a coach, help can be in many, many ways. It can be
Yes.
someone who holds you accountable, like find a business buddy. It can be someone in your community. There are many ways of people that can help you and tell you, hey, you need a break, you know,
Yes.
or find a friend with who you can go for walks or sports or whatever. Because if you're not the person, it's not just you, but someone with you, it's so much more easy somehow to say, no, I can't do it. Like you experienced, unfortunately, with your parents, this wasn't about you, this was about them.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why it became easy to say no and to just focus on the essentials. But when it's just you, somehow, unfortunately, we still don't value ourselves enough to say, hey, I
Yeah.
need a
I'm
break.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of that comes back to, again, my last interview today was about boundaries and putting in those boundaries for ourselves.
Yes.
Because and the importance of being kind to ourselves, because we have that internal dialogue sometimes. You have to work harder, you have to push, you have to do more.
Sure.
And it can seem, again, for people that I've coached and mentored, it can seem unrelenting, this internal push, push, push. So what are some of the signs? So if somebody's sitting there listening to this later or whatever and saying, well, I'm not sure, but I do feel like I haven't got enough time, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm at that level. What are some of the signs that would tell them that before? Because we're trying to stop you hitting rock bottom because it's not nice. It's not nice. It's friggin' uncomfortable. And I get that sometimes people have to hit there, but if you don't need to get there, well, then maybe some signs can give you an indication before that. So what are the signs?
So there are quite a few, to be honest. One sign is that you don't take care of you. And what I mean by that is often I see people who stop working out or doing any kind of physical exercise while they look in the mirror and don't like their body.
Yeah.
You know? And it goes with the wrong food, because let's be honest, when you're really busy, you eat behind your desk, you crave more sugary things or more unhealthy things because you're on a run always. So you and you feel like you're stressed, so you allow yourself to indulge more. It's when at night you're drained and all you can do is literally be pooped out on the couch and like, you know. But also, and this is for me one of the biggest telltales, is when you worked a day extremely hard, and you if you look back, you don't even remember what you've done because you've been like, you know, so into it, and by the end of the day, you still feel you haven't done enough. That is one of the biggest for me. And what happens then, because you don't feel you have done enough, you kind of beat yourself up. You know, you go like, oh, I didn't do it. And then tomorrow, oh, I'm going to wake up early, or I'm going to just put in an extra hour and then it will be enough. But it actually, that's the telltale that you're doing the wrong things.
Yes.
Because if you have done the right things, no matter how long you worked, you will feel satisfied, you will feel fulfilled, you will feel happy. So if at the end of the day you go like, well, I won't curse, but shoot, I did, and you beat yourself up and you go like, well, and then starts the feeling like I can never do it all. I know it's so much. That's definitely a sign you're not, you could do it different. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I think for me, I actually wrote an article on the myth, busting the myth of time management myself. So it's a thing that has been an ongoing battle. And like yourself, I've been in corporate for many years. And, you know, quite often it'd be when everyone would go home, I'd be still there trying to catch up on stuff, you know. But one of the things that I have learned is if you don't plan some way, so, you know, for example, I have the top 3 things that need to be done, say that day or week, depending on the size of the project. If I don't do that, we end up, the day is exactly as you've described it. You're sitting there because there's always stuff to be done. There's a to-do list always, and that never ends when you run your own business. But it fills up with the admin and the little things. And not to say that they haven't to be done, but if you don't have a plan, they end up being the things you're doing. So you're working harder and harder and harder and harder, and you don't seem to be getting any of the big things ticked off. Is that something that you have found?
Yes, for sure. So I love that you mentioned the top three things. It's actually one of the tips I always give my clients. So what I personally do is every day I ask myself, what are the three most impactful actions I need to do today? And I start my day with those.
Yeah.
And there are many variations on the three most impactful. Some say, maybe you've heard of it, what's the ugliest frog? Okay.
Yeah, eat the what is it? Eat the frog for breakfast.
Yes. What's the one thing that really you don't like, you keep postponing? Start your day with that, and you will feel instantly better. Okay, so
Oh,
that
it's like
really,
a weight off your shoulders because we analyze it and think about it and talk about it, and it's like this shadow here for so long. And
yes,
then once we do it, we go, "Oh my God, why didn't I do that a week ago?" That was so easy. Oh my God, every
yeah,
single time.
yeah. So that's
Yeah,
that's very critical. And if you, for example, look at Stephen Covey of the 7 Habits of Highly
yes,
Effective People, he has a great way of describing it. And there are many, if you go on YouTube, there are many films of this. But basically, there's always things to do. But it's important that if you have like a vase, you put in the big rocks first. Okay,
yes,
the most critical things. Now, trust me, you are a critical thing. So, if we talk about planning, start planning with the things you want to do. So, for example, I like to start my day with the workouts.
yeah.
Why? Well, two reasons basically. But if I leave it till the end of the day, it's never going to happen. I must be
But it
honest.
sounds good in the morning when you don't want to get out of bed. I'll do it later.
Yeah, I do in the morning, but then you get
Yeah,
it done. Maybe just 7 minutes, but get it done. Or if you like other things. I had someone talking to me yesterday, a client, I don't know how to plan because, and this was a lady, I need to get my nails filled, I need to get my hair done, it never happens. And that's because we put ourselves last. So you are
yes,
an important thing. You, your family, those are important things. But also, we spoke already about the essentials in your business. Those are the big blocks. You start with that. And then you have the smaller pebbles, things that
yeah,
are critical, but not as critical as the bigger ones. And then you have the sand that goes everywhere in between. And that's not that important. And it's more as a time filler, but definitely don't start your day with it.
yeah.
If you start your day with sand, it's already half full, and then the big blocks can't go in.
Can't fit in. Absolutely. Yeah. I loved that exercise. I think a teacher actually, even there's a video of a teacher
Yes.
showing that and
Yeah.
asking people, and it's very impactful when you look at it like that. Now, I guess then is the decision of how do they decide which is the big block and which is the smaller blocks?
Yeah. Well, deep down, everybody knows. Let me start by
Mm.
saying that it's your business, so or it's what's critical. And there are a couple of ways of looking at it. It's depending on where you are with your business, or if you are in employment, what is asked from you. You have set goals, right? And it's basically the task that gets you to achieve your goal the quickest. Now,
Yeah.
that still sounds very loose. But to make it a bit more concrete, it's most likely the thing that's making you the money the
Yes.
quickest and the
Yeah.
easiest.
Yeah.
And everything else will have to wait. So if you're in to make money on the short term because you're still very actively looking for clients, look at what brings you clients almost immediately and focus on that. Now,
Yeah.
if you have a steady stream of clients, so that's like your basis is covered, then you can start planning more for the long term. Okay, so I'm gonna do more, I don't know, show up on podcast, or
Yeah.
that's long term, but it's very critical. But what I see too often is when people are really in the phase of attracting clients, they get too caught up in things that give them clients on the long term and not on the short term.
On the short term. Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. Yeah.
So then look at your to-do list and ask yourself, when does this bring me in clients? Is it short term? Is it long term? What phase am I in? I'm needing them now. Okay, I'm skipping everything else, or I'm pausing it for now.
Yeah.
That's really the main thing. And then there's a theory which I really like to work with my client. It's called the lean. Have you heard of lean?
No.
Okay, so it's something Toyota, the auto brand, invented when they needed to be competitive to Ford, which was huge back in the days.
Yeah.
And basically, it is a way of looking at how can I add value to my customer, which I think it should be always about, and cut back on everything else. Well, according to the lean theory, this is a shocker, 95% of what you're doing is not adding value to your customer. 95%.
Yeah.
So 5% of what you're doing is adding value. Now, there is also rules and legislations you need to stick to. But if you are really looking at your business through the eyes of your customer, what do they need? What do they like? What do they ask for? And that is what you need to focus on.
It's absolutely. I talk a lot about how to find your ideal client. And when we're teaching people how to make videos, one of the ones is answer a question for them or solve a problem. They're already out there searching. You don't need to go and, the old saying used to be, what was it? Build it and they will come. I'm going, no. Don't build it and they will come. Go out and answer and become the guru, and then they'll come.
Yes, sure.
Because they see you as the expert. And it is, in these times of social media, I see exactly what you're saying. People are trying to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter. And I'm going, choose one where you know your client is and do it well. And I love what you say. There's two sides to this coin. There's take the shortest route to the money.
Yes.
But also, if you are in business for yourself, it's rarely just about the money. The money, of course, you have to be compensated to keep you going. But if it's just about the money, you won't last. And I've seen so many people try and do that push, I'll make quick money here. If it's not something that you love or you want to do, you're not going to last in it, because the shine of a bit of quick money kind of does fade after a while. It has to be something you love. And I love what you say, keep adding value to the customer. My background is hospitality. So it was all about the customer. It was all about, we used to say the customer is always right. But behind the scenes, we'd say, unless they're wrong. But it was about that. It was about adding value. How can we make your meal better? How can we make you feel that you're at a home outside your home?
Yes.
And I'm shocked to hear that 95% of the stuff behind it. But I'm shocked, but I'm not at the same time, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And
it's go ahead.
No, I really love how you say it's not all about the money, because you're right. It's not all about the money. I actually take for granted that I'm assuming that you do what you love.
Yes.
And I think for me, running your own business starts and falls with doing what you love, because it is hard enough as is. I mean, I can tell you all rosy, but it's not easy.
Yes.
So if you're not in love with what you do, if you're not in love with what you sell, if you're not in love with your business, period, it's going to be very tough. And yes, you can't just do it for the money, because then rather go work somewhere else where they pay you for it.
And you know what? And I'd like to just add an extra distinction there. You don't have to love every single part of what you do. Like, I don't always love the admin, but of course I love connecting with people. I love talking to people. I love empowering people and teaching them how to get their message out and make videos and trying to shortcut it for them. Of course, I love all that, but I don't always love all the admin that goes behind it. but you're right. You have to somehow be in love with what you're doing. And as you're building it, it's okay to keep that rule of thumb, the shortest route to the money. I did it for many years, go back in and out of a job or something, if that's what you do on the part time, even until you build your business to a level. It's okay to do that, because if it's something that you know so well, it doesn't make you have to learn something new, because you know it so well. It's an easy way to make some money until the other one, till it levels out. There should never be shame about that. I remember myself being shamed. I had announced to the world, I'm a new life coach. And it was like, and oh my God, I have to go back to a job because I couldn't market myself. But the truth was, I was still learning. I was finding what worked and what didn't. So I have no problem. If I needed an extra $100, I'll go and do something that will earn me the $100, take on a new client or work an hour for somebody, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there should be no shame in that. But you're right. Having your own business is not, we go into it sometimes, I think, thinking that it's this, oh my God, I'm going to be able to do what I want, when I want, all the time.
No.
It's not like that at first. And if you can't manage yourself, it may never be like that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And I also really like that you emphasize that there's not every part of your business is what you're going to love. And it's true. And I think it's also very important to understand, where are your strengths. So what do you love?
Yes.
What don't you love? What are your strengths? And if you are growing your business, or if you're really strangling for time, the things you don't love and you're almost automatically not as good at, those are the first things that you're going to outsource.
Yes. Yeah.
So just remember that it doesn't always have to be that way. They are the first things that are going to go. So for example, the one thing I really struggled with when I left my corporate job was technology. Because my IT friends in my corporate job were my friends. I was always on speed dial with them. And then all of a sudden, oh my word, now I have to do it on my own. So I've got someone dedicated to technology. Well, he's my lifesaver. He's now on speed dial.
Yeah.
And it works well because it is what he loves to do. It's what I don't love to do. And that's also, and it's easier to outsource than you think, really, especially with the global economy. There are
absolutely, from all over the world. I have a VA that's in another country as well, and she's been a lifesaver. But one of the first things for me to outsource was my accountants and bookkeeping, and to make sure that I pay all the right taxes and my GST and blah blah blah, all this sort of stuff. It doesn't mean I don't look at my numbers. It doesn't mean that. So I'm not saying I put them away, but somebody that knows how to, like, I don't worry about, over in Australia, we pay GST quarterly and things like that. That gets done now. It's automatically set up. Somebody looks at it and they'll say, hey, Carmel, there's a few, this, that, and the other. We'll have a conversation. But again, that's what they love doing. To me, I could do it, but holy guacamole. I'd put it to the end of my list all the time, and then I'd eventually do it. It was like sticking needles in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather do this. I'd rather talk to people, connect to people, put people together, help them, grow, but not the details side.
No.
And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm a tax lawyer by trade. So I think you raise a good point. I think it's critical to outsource your tax matters, not just because we don't like it. I don't like it anymore, but also because they know how to save you money. And there are many tax advantages that we are unaware of, because unless you are into tax and admin yourself, then, is what excites you. But other than that, you do not know how to save taxes. So really, that's for me a must or a given. You go to an expert there because, first of all, you want to be compliant. The last thing you want to do is have trouble with your tax authorities, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second of all, you want to outsource what you really don't like. And lastly, use their expertise to save money, because trust me, you can save quite a few with someone who knows how to help
Yeah.
you. And in the startup phase, there are many ways that are unaware to us how to save money with a great.
Absolutely. And they change all the time too. And
Yes,
that's their job. Like part of an accountant and a bookkeeper, they have to do certain things and certain study to keep compliant.
yes,
So they know all the changes, whereas I don't know about you, but my God, I've got enough to learn and enough to teach. So because I'm trying to keep on top of my game of what I'm teaching other people too. So there's always new ways of doing a video. There's YouTube itself has even brought out what you call it now. It has brought out shorts, which is, in competition with reels and things like that. So, there's lots of new things all the time in technology. I laughed when you said about technology, because I was the person that wasn't technical at all. Oh my God, I was afraid I'd blow the computer up. And now I'm quite techie. And my theory is if a grey haired granny can do it, so can you.
yeah, true, yeah. Well,
Cool.
it's
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
so I was going to say, I like that you're saying, you're quite technical, because like I said, I don't feel technical at all. But if I speak to either my clients or my business buddies, they go like, "But you know everything about tech." And that's the one thing we often do as well. We underestimate ourselves, right?
Yes, yes,
And,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
like I said, I've got someone who helps me, and it's great. But I can do it myself. Of course, I've done
Mm.
it, but I just know it doesn't make me excited. It doesn't
Yes.
fulfill me as
You
much.
you couldn't sit and do it all day
No, and
and
fulfill
lose
me
yourself.
and honestly wake me up for coach. Well, not wake me up, but you get my
Yeah,
drift. I love
yeah, yeah,
myself.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's the distinction, and that's really, if you need to focus on how do I build my business up or out, or focus on that thing that really makes you come alive. That is what you started your business for in the first place, where you can see you add your self value. Those are the things you need to focus on, and everything else can come after that.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. I'm just looking at the time. Goodness me, we could talk, I think, for hours and hours. So maybe in the new year it's time that we get back in and do a little bit more actual, almost teaching of it. So tell me, with your business now, what kind of actions do you put in place to market your business? Like, how do you find that has changed in the new world that we find ourselves in?
Well, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if that's where I love LinkedIn, and there's many of my ideal clients, and so I spend quite a bit of time there, but really building connections, and really engaging. So that's the
Yeah,
the one thing I do. I started also being more active on Instagram, and this has to do, I love to go to Bali, one day. I know for Australia, Bali is not as exciting as it is for me. But what I
oh, it
do,
is exciting. If we could only get there. It's only 4 hours away from Perth. It's very exciting.
it's down, right? So what I used to do every day, I would go to my Instagram account just to check on my Bali, and then I would see someone driving on those little scooters, and I would envision myself there.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
I started using, what I like about Instagram is the Insta story. So I'm quite active there as well. And the other thing I do is I'm on podcasts, because there are
Yes.
so many people out there that have amazing messages. And I do it for a couple of reasons. First of all, because I love to connect. I love
Yes.
how we're connected. I love to reach an audience that I wouldn't reach on my own. So
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
reason. And what I found is that it also really helps me to tweak my message better,
Yes.
because you know your message, but if you're just like sharing it on social media, it's very one-sided, so to say.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you're putting it out there, and yes, people comment, but it's just your idea. Whereas if I'm in a conversation with you, you ask me questions, and I go like, oh, I need to emphasize that more next time.
Yes. Yes.
Or, oh, that didn't come across so well, so I need to tell that. And that really helps me sharpen my message, while I also get, that's the fourth reason, being very honest here, because you're going to mention me, you're going to mention my website. So I get people to go to my website, which also
Yeah.
helps the website ranking.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
four reasons why I love being on podcasts, and that's how I market myself. And then lastly, I do occasionally master classes where I teach things to people because
Yeah.
I love talking about my topic.
Yeah, and this is it. When we get together, we start talking about it, and it's not just that time management that we start talking. There's a depth of knowledge and the layers between us all that when we share, it's kind of like standing on the shoulders of giants, of not having to reinvent the wheel, of actually being able to do it better. I also know that you use a lot of video in your business. How do you find video? How impactful it is to build relationships and to market your business?
Very impactful, very.
Yeah.
And the reason is because on video you see me, you
Yeah.
hear me,
Yes.
you hear what words I use, you can see the real me. You can either like me or don't like me.
Yes.
You hear my voice, you hear my sense of humor. Um, it's someone that comes to life. And if you're not on video yet, I really encourage you to do it, because it gets easier. Trust me, it gets
Yes.
so much easier. So start now, and just the first time I went live on video, I gotta be honest. I when I started my business, I had a coach who said to me, "If you're not on video, you're not gonna succeed." So somehow, as of
You went, okay.
video, the first thing I did though was buy a very large anti-wrinkle cream.
Ah!
And trust me, also that gets better. You kind of get used to seeing yourself, hearing yourself, and
Yes, you do.
but I had so I think it's great that you are there, because I have had a lot of help. Because what I found, and don't know about you, but in my corporate job, being always teaching, being always educating, being giving these workshops all the time, I had a very corporate way of showing up.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by a corporate way is,
Yeah. Yeah.
today I'm
Absolutely.
going to tell
Me
you about
too.
the best 3 things on how to save time. Like, utterly
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
There was no real connection. And my friends would tell me, my word, I don't recognize you. And I had to kind of step over something to become more authentic, to laugh, to
Yes.
crack a joke, to really use my words, because sometimes I curse. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I am.
Hey, you're talking to an Irish woman here. Let me tell you, it happens. It happens.
You
It
know?
kind of falls out of my mouth excitedly every now and again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but that's the real me. If you get
Yeah.
coached from me, I would be the same. So now I just show up, and also what I really don't like, but also the truth is, I sometimes I go for a run. I always get inspired, but I'm not a beautiful runner. I'm like I'm like no makeup, tomato red.
Yeah.
I just at first I didn't do it, and now I'm like, well, this is also me. I'm just going live because I have
Yes.
something to
Yeah.
share. And I personally like real people. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what video has done for
I
me.
think
So
it really builds that know, like, and trustability. And I know a lot of people are scared to put their face to camera. And I say, well, you don't actually have to at first. You can actually make videos in lots of different way. If any of you watching want to have a look on my page. You can make videos in lots of different ways with a really core great message or answer a problem for them until you're ready to go live, if that's your thing. But I
yes,
agree with you. When you're answering answering their questions or solving their problems via video is a lot easier, and that can build that know, like, and trustability with you too.
yes, yeah.
Goodness me, look at us talking forever. Yvonne, I would love to thank you so, so much for hanging out with me today. And for people who would like to contact you, let me pop up your details on here. So this is your LinkedIn.
Yes.
So LinkedIn, just look for Yvonne Dam, DAM. And also your email. So if people would like to contact you by email, it's Yvonne at amaze-yourself.com. And of course, amaze-yourself.com is the website too. And feel free to hop over there and say hi to Yvonne.
Yes.
And of course, if you'd like to contact me, the website is just down below, which is also find me on YouTube. If you hop onto the website, you get a free PDF about those top 5 videos to use in your business, the problem, question, and there's a few more as well. One very last question that I will ask you, I usually like to ask my guests, and that is, if you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what would you be doing instead?
Oh, the first thing that came to my mind was being very miserable.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got a background in change management. So I do change management with smaller corporations right now, with business
Right.
owners. But I would go back to being, I just love change management. So I would
Yeah.
just go back to being consultant and changing larger corporations.
Awesome.
This can't be stopped.
Yeah, it can't be stopped. It's like a railroad. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, Yvonne. And I'm sure we will get you back again in the new year. Can't believe it's the end of the year. In Perth, it's a lot warmer than it is with you in the Netherlands. But thank you so much for joining us and have a great Christmas.
Thank you so much. Absolutely my pleasure. Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.